Equations. How to solve two-step equations. What are they? A statement with an equal sign stating that two expressions are equal. Why? Helps you improve your problem-solving skills. Interesting fact. Female golden eagles usually lay between 1 and 4 eggs each breeding season. Now let's take a closer look at the 4 examples we're going to be talking about in today's video. And let's take a closer look at example of 1. Let's read the steps. Step 1, do inverse or opposite operations. Step 2, continue until the variable is by itself. Now let's talk about the inverses. The first one is addition, and the inverse of that is subtraction, and vice versa. And we have multiplication, and the inverse of that is division, and vice versa. Let's read the question. Solve the equation 6 plus 2x is equal to 14. Now let's add the hidden symbols so it is a little bit easier to tell when and where and what inverse we need to do in order to solve for the variable. Now let's read the equation now. So we have positive 6 plus 2x, or 2 times x, is equal to positive 14. Now, since we need to get the variable by itself, we need to move that 6 first to the other side. In order to do that, we need to use the inverse. And since it says positive 6, and that positive sign is another sign for the plus sign, and another word for plus is add, and the inverse of addition is subtraction. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 6 from the left side so we can cancel those numbers out. And because 6 minus 6 is 0, we're going to go ahead and cancel those numbers out. Since we did that to the left side, we now need to do it to the right side. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 6 from 14, and 14 minus 6 is 8. Let's write down what we have so far. We have positive 2 times x, which is equal to positive 8. Now as you can see and here, we said times. So another word for times is multiplication, and the inverse of that is division. So we're going to go ahead and divide by positive 2 to get rid of that 2 in front of the x. And so we can get the x by itself, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. We can go ahead and cancel those numbers out, and we need to do it to the right side, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And now let's write down what we have so far. We have positive 1 times x is equal to positive 4. Now we can go ahead and get rid of those positive signs, because you're not going to see that written down anywhere. And we can also get rid of that 1, because anything times itself is itself. So we have x is equal to 4, and that is your answer. Now let's take a closer look at example 2a. We have 5 minus x, which is equal to 3. Let's add the hidden symbols. We have positive 5 minus x, which is equal to positive 3. Now we're going to go ahead and add a positive x because the inverse of subtraction is addition. So we have negative x plus x is equal to 0x, or just 0. So those numbers cancel, and we can go ahead and do that to the right side as well. 3 plus x is equal to 3 plus x. Let's write down what we have so far. We have positive 5 is equal to positive 3 plus x, and we're going to go ahead and get rid of that plus 3, or the positive 3, to get x by itself. As you can tell, we have a positive sign, so the inverse of that is subtraction. So we're going to subtract 3 from the right hand side, so 3 minus 3 is 0. So those numbers cancel, and we have to do it to the left side as well. 5 minus 3 is 2. Let's write down what we have. So we have positive 2 is equal to positive x. So we kept that symbol in front of the x, but you don't really need to keep that. So then we have 2 is equal to x, and you're not going to see x written on the right hand side. You're going to see the variable written on the left hand side, and that is your final step for this example. So we have the answer is x equals 2. Now let's take a look at this equation and do it a different way. Some of you may have done it want to do it the other way, and that's fine. You get to choose. So in this case, we're going to still add the hidden symbols. Positive 5 minus x is equal to positive 3. So in this case, we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. So 5 minus 5 is 0. We can go ahead and cancel those numbers, and then we're going to go ahead and do the right side. So we have 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. Let's write down what we have so far. We have negative x is equal to negative 2. Now you may be wondering, you don't see anything, but we still don't have the variable by itself. That negative sign in front of the x is really negative 1 times x. And since I just said times, the inverse of that is division. And so we need to get rid of that negative 1. And so therefore we need to divide by negative 1. And those two numbers cancel because negative 1 divided by negative 1 is 1, because when you multiply or divide two negative numbers, they become positive. Now we need to go ahead and do it to the right hand side. And negative 2 divided by negative 1 is 2, because once again, if you divide or multiply two negative numbers, they become positive. So you're left with positive x is equal to positive 2, but we're going to go ahead and drop those symbols so we get x is equal to 2, and that is your final answer. Now let's take a look at example 3. We have 63 divided by x, which is equal to 9. So let's add the hidden symbols. So we have positive 63 divided by positive x, which is equal to positive 9. So since we're dividing by x, we need to get rid of the x, or make sure so that we can have x on the top of the equation, or fraction rather. So we have, since we're dividing by x, the inverse of that is multiplication. So now we need to multiply it by x on the left hand side. So those numbers, or rather variables, cancel, and we can go ahead and do that to the right hand side. So we have 9 times x, which is 9x. And now we have positive 63, which is equal to positive 9 times x. So we have times, and so in order to get rid of that times, or that number, so we can get x by itself, we have to divide by 9, or positive 9, and 9 divided by 9 is 1. So those numbers cancel, and now we need to do to the left hand side. 63 divided by 9 is 7. Let's write down what we have. Positive 7 is equal to positive 1 times x. But once again, you don't need to write down that positive 1 or the plus signs, so you can just write 7 is equal to x. Flip that x, we have x is equal to 7, and there we have it. Now let's take a look at the last example. 19 minus 2x minus 5. So let's add the hidden symbols. Positive 19 is equal to positive 2 times x minus 5. Now we're going to go ahead and get rid of that minus 5, because we need to get that x by itself. So we add 5 to the right hand side. Minus 5 plus 5 is equal to 0. So those numbers cancel. Now we need to do it to the left side. So we get 19 plus 5, which is 24. Let's write down what we have. Positive 24 is equal to positive 2 times x. So we said times, so now we need to use division or the inverse to get rid of that positive 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So those numbers cancel. And now we need to do it to the left side, and we get 24 divided by 2, which is 12. So we have positive 12 is equal to positive 1 times x. Get rid of the positive sign and the 1. So we have 12 is equal to x. And we flip it. X is equal to 12. And there we have it. That's your answer. Now it is your turn. So go ahead and pause the video so you can answer these questions on your own time. And I'm going to show the answers in 3, 2, and 1. There you go. If you got them correct, well done. If you didn't, there's always tomorrow.